Russia is set to continue its genocidal war against Ukraine. It's not going to stop unless it lacks resources to carry on this war. And Putin believes that the time's on his side.
The ceasefire talks underway between Russia and Ukraine. Now, this comes at a very tricky time for Volodymyr Zelensky domestically, because Ukraine has seen its first major protest in more than 3 years of war. And this is over a bill signed into legislation yesterday that critics say weakens the independence of the country's anti-corruption bodies. Alexander Khara is a Ukrainian diplomat and former advisor to the Foreign and Defence Ministries of Ukraine. Alexander, a very good afternoon from us. Can you just explain to our listeners exactly what this new bill is going to change?
Well, actually, what is profoundly changing is redirecting the anti-corruption bodies that were established as independent under the auspices of the prosecutor general. And actually, general public is not happy with this very fact, and they believe that it's actually the installation of those independent anti-corruption bodies. Even though we are critical, I mean, as a civil society, we are critical of the functioning of those bodies, because for years there has been no let's say, high-profile cases of corruption being brought to court, and then trial of those high official corrupt people. So I would say that both sides of this discussion are wrong, and there are some bits of truth on both sides. Part of this legislation gives the powers back to the Prosecutor General's office that were taken, just I wouldn't say constitutionally, but it looked like constitutionally. So there was a good motive for the members of parliament to do that. But overall, I'm not happy with this move. It's not the right time to proceed with this change of the leadership of the anti-corruption bodies. And certainly it's not going to be received in the Western capitals. And certainly our enemies are trying to amplify the message that Ukraine is corrupt and is not willing to fight corruption back. And actually this morning I read Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was against Ukraine and assistance to Ukraine on many occasions. And now she said that these people that gathered on the streets of Kiev, they wanted to get Zelensky out of his office because they want to stop this war, and it's implicit message that Zelensky is to blame for this war to carry on, which is not true. These people are protesting against particularly move of the parliament, of the majority, run by people from the Zelensky party.
Right, and it's a very good point to make that from the scenes that have come out of Ukraine, some people who would like to destabilise the region even further, or who would not like to see Ukraine win, might be able to use this as a form of propaganda to support their cause. But I wonder whether there is a valid suggestion that somehow Zelensky is changing things within Ukraine because of the pressure that he faces from external forces, obviously not from Russia, but from America, from other people who are part of this struggle against Russia.
Well, first of all, if we're talking about fighting corruption, last year the Transparency International adjusted on 2 points Ukrainian rating, so we did a bit better than the previous year. But unfortunately, this year there was just like 1 point down. It's not a huge progress, but what was good about the last year, there were no, let's say, high-profile scandals, neither in defense sphere or any other related to corruption. So corruption is here. It's not pandemic. The government is doing something, and certainly our society is not happy with the pace of the fight in corruption, and that's why they believe it's a step back from the course that was set after Ukraine signed the association agreement with the European Union. But if you're talking about the pressure from our partners, yes, to some extent it gives an impetus for the government to do something. But from the other hand, there is a general understanding that we need to change ourselves and the way how we govern ourselves with the aim to adapt to the situation and fight Russians back. Because there is no illusion here in Ukraine that after this meeting in Istanbul or any other meetings in foreseeable future, there would be a ceasefire or let alone the final peace agreement with Russia. Russia is set to continue its genocidal war against Ukraine. It's not going to stop unless it lacks resources to carry on this war. And Putin believes that the time's on his side. So Ukrainian society understand that, and that's why I believe it's unfortunate that the majority decided to vote for this legislation, shaking in the national unity and showing that it's possible to gather Maidan again, which is not a good thing to have during the wartime.
Sure. So do you worry that this will allow other themes of discontent to show themselves? In any country at any time, there are always people within society who don't agree with what the leaders or the main political party is doing.
Well, we are disciplined. We've been through two Maidans, 2004, 2014, and the general public understand that we should not roll the boats and commit suicide by allowing to exploit our differences for Russians or someone else. So I don't think that this protest will find a form of something destructive, but it's good that Ukrainian society showed that we are committed to democracy, we are committed to transparency and fighting corruption, and with all these criticisms that we already heard from the European Union and some other organizations, it showed that there is democracy here in Ukraine. President Zelensky met with the leaders of the anti-corruption bodies and with the prosecutor general and some other people in show of unity. I believe it's just like a damage control action, but in reality, we will see in the coming, let's say, weeks and months that they are going to do something decisive and to show the high-profile cases being investigated or made public. Actually, there is one expecting to be announced soon about one of the richest men here in Ukraine, and actually one who was the owner of the media channel in Ukraine, where Zelensky was an actor. And Mr. Kolomoisky, and he is accused of embezzlement of huge amount of money from a bank. So I believe it will be the right way to show that there is no damage to the anti-corruption bodies if there is a trial of this gentleman in court with well-grounded arguments.
Yeah, but if that doesn't happen, Alexander, surely there is a concern that President Zelensky will then be tarred by the brush of every single probe into corruption that is seen by the Ukrainian people as not being strong enough. It will weaken his reputation, won't it?
Well, yes, but what is good about Zelensky, there is not a single case where the anti-corruption or civil society accused him of. They're talking about his encirclement and people related to the office of president, but not about Zelensky. So in this case, he may be blamed for changing the system and making some impediments to the system. But in general, he has a positive view, and I believe what he has done just recalled for many people what Mr. Yanukovych, the ousted president of Ukraine who fled to Russia, did back in 2013 and 14, that led to the second Maidan in Ukraine. So we're just trying to initialize all those manners and to show that Zelensky should go and should follow the steps that we decided in 2014 and we agreed with the European Union. So there will be some damage, but I hope that Zelensky will listen, and he's listening to people in general. He's political animal that understands that he needs to be in mainstream of the general opinion.
Sure. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us this afternoon. We really appreciate your time. Alexander Khara is a Ukrainian diplomat and also a former advisor to the Foreign and Defence Ministries of Ukraine.